Today, one of my viewers sent me an article, shout out to Beth. This article was in Newsweek, and it talked about how intermittent fasting is causing a 91% increase in cardiovascular death. So, of course, I had to check this one out. In today's video, we're going to take a look at that study and determine for ourselves if it is of high or low quality. I think this is a very important skill for everyone to have because a lot of the scientific research out there is fraudulent and funded by industry like big food and big pharma. And you need to be able to quickly discern what you should or shouldn't pay attention to. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This research is coming from an American Heart Association conference that was just held earlier this week. I think it was like the 18th to the 20th or 21st of March. I have linked to the press release that has the abstract of the actual research so you can take a look at it yourself. So now let's break it down real quick. There's a couple of things I'm looking for when I'm evaluating the quality of any study results. So first of all, we can take a look and we see right away this is epidemiological data. What that means is it's population or observational data. These researchers took data from two different very large pools, observational epidemiological pools of data, and that's how they were able to, kind of tease out this 91% increase in cardiovascular death. So how did they know that these people were fasting or what they were eating or anything like that? Well, that's the first issue. The way that they knew was these people in this population study, they took two 24-hour food questionnaires. And if you know anything about food surveys or food questionnaires, you know that they are notoriously unreliable. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, a lot of people lie on surveys. If you're taking a survey about food, you're probably thinking, probably not going to tell them I ate all those Oreos the other day. You know what I mean? You're going to kind of make it look a little better than it actually is. Second, the questions can be really vague or written weirdly, like how many peaches did you eat in the last month? Or how many plums did you eat in the last week? They're really strange. Nobody tracks their food that religiously, at least most normal people. So the fact that this is epidemiological data that's relying on food surveys, that is enough for me to file this away into the disregard pile. But let's dig a little bit deeper so we can see if we can find some other flaws or limitations. First off, nowhere in this data is there a discussion about what kind of foods these people were eating. Were they eating a standard American diet? Were they vegetarian? Were they keto? Because quality of food is going to have a huge impact on your metabolic health. It's not the intermittent fasting, it's the food that you're eating when you're eating. If you're eating Fruit Loops and chocolate bars and Coca-Colas and then you're fasting for 16 hours, your metabolic health is going to be completely different than someone that's eating a real food diet and then fasting those same 16 hours. Another limitation of this study is they were focused exclusively on that limited feeding window. They did not take any other kind of lifestyle factors into account. And finally, this is just preliminary data. This was a poster presentation at this conference, so this is just the beginning of this data analysis. They're going to go into this data a little bit more, probably factor in some of these lifestyle things, maybe the different foods they're eating, and they might get a different result. This is just purely a presentation, and that's kind of the way it works with scientific research. You put your poster together, you put your presentation together, you do your preliminary data gathering and everything, put it out there, and then the next process is going through it, making sure everything's accurate, getting it peer-reviewed, and then getting it published, and it takes a really, really long time. So this is just preliminary, the very beginning data on this particular study. And while it's good to see information like this, even if it's bokeh, even if it is, of course, the media jumps right into the headline, because the title of this study is 8-hour feeding window increases the risk of cardiovascular death by 91%. And that is the headline. If you Google that right now, you're going to find tons of news articles with that headline. And the simple fact is this study cannot say that. It cannot be a causative thing. An epidemiological study or taking epidemiological data, that can help you to form a hypothesis. And then you have to go in and, okay, now I can design a rigorous study. I can do a randomized double-blind controlled study where I can test this. I can do a control group that just does normal, no fasting at all, just, eats their normal diet. And then I can do an intervention group where this group of people does the, 8-hour feeding window with a 16-hour fast, and then track that over a long period of time. And then you can really tease out like, okay, is this a real thing? But with epidemiological data, you just can't do that. And short of data or whatever, let's just think about it logically for a minute. So our ancestors, they did not eat every day. They sometimes went several days without eating. They had to kill their food. They had to gather their food. So nature designed us to take advantage of intermittent fasting or long periods of fasting. So it doesn't make sense, just in my mind, that intermittent fasting alone would cause a 91% increase in cardiovascular death. That's a large number, and I don't buy it. So these headlines saying that intermittent fasting is bad for you are just absolutely ridiculous. I think even the researchers say in the abstract that, people shouldn't be reporting out that this is like set in stone science, but that's what media outlets do. They jump at that clickbaity headline, and this is 100% clickbait. And then they present the research like it's definitive. They don't talk about the nuances, or if they do, it's buried way down at the end of the article, and most people are just skimming through. They'll see the headline. If they even click on the article, they're only going to read the first few paragraphs. So for this particular study, we are going to put this into the disregard pile at this time. There is just way too much really high-quality science out there to show that intermittent fasting is really, really good for you. So until this group of researchers goes through their data, accounts for lifestyle factors, and designs a randomized controlled trial where they can actually test this hypothesis, I just don't think it's anything to worry about. If you'd like to check out the study for yourself, I've linked it in the description below. And again, this is a skill that everybody needs to know. I knew within about a minute that this study wasn't worth my time. So I really want you to develop that skill. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions whatsoever about anything we talked about today, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.